So, hello, today is a special treat for me personally. Joining us is another fellow Burnley native, an icon of the DJing and scratching world, Woody. He's kindly agreed to take time from his busy schedule and agreed for an interview with myself. The reason for this is that I booked Woody to play at a night which I'm putting on in Burnley, so Woody will be coming home and playing to a home crowd, and it's at the Electric Circus in Burnley on the 4th of November. If you'd like to learn more about this, links will be at bottom of the page, or just go to Skiddle and search for Cut Above the Rest. If you want a great night with some dope scratching skills, hip-hop, electronic music, non-cheesy old school breakbeat, get yourself a ticket. Woody has been a major influence of mine and many other turntablists in the UK and abroad. Legends are understatement. He was the Northern DMC champion, went on to first European to clinch the ITF World Championships in 2001, and the following year he conquered the Vestax World Title. Was that the one with the two torn?
Yeah,
I remember that one. There's not many routines like that. Creator of the famous woodpecker scratch, he also contributed to the design of the Controller 1, the first turntable to play full musical scales. He's worked with a variety of artists. Some of them include Stonesthrow Records, Russian Percussion, oneself, many, many more. A pioneer of visual DJing and turntables, Woody's audiovisual journey has been revolutionary, with turntables in Technicolor dazzling audiences from London to New York. He also came to acclaim with a scratching clip with Anne Hathaway, weren't it, many years ago?
Yeah, random viral thing.
Yeah. She even commented on it, didn't she? So
I think somebody asked her about it on the red carpet for the premiere, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. I've seen I can remember that bit vaguely, because that's going back a bit. Will it be 10 years maybe or something?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. What else have you done? Touring with shows like the Hip Hop is Forte, Blake Remix. You've been at the forefront. In 2018-19, you were with the Hacienda Classical, weren't you? With Peter Hook, Mike Pickering, Graham Park, playing with classical orchestra. And then you were playing at Royal Albert Hall, weren't you?
Yeah, we had. I think we did 3 there. They seem to have a bit of a residency each year.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to sort of do the warm-up spot for that.
Man,
sort of
that would have been brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely one to impress your mum with.
Yeah. Right, I could keep going on, but I promised I'll keep this interview short. Yeah, if you want to check out what this guy's done, just have a look at his Wikipedia page. There's accolades on there as long as your arm. Right, moving on. So, let's start at the beginning, Woody. You know, what sparked your journey into scratching? How did you get started? What age?
I wanted to do it probably from about the age of, I don't know, 8, 9 or 10. I'm sort of the younger, basically when hip hop first came over and you could first see it being done in Burnley or whatever, you know, youth clubs, school disco, you know, breakdancing and all that lot. You're talking sort of 80. Well, I guess it was 80. It was probably around 84 I saw it first, but I was a nipper. I was like 7 years old, you know, but I was lucky enough to live in a part of Burnley where you could see that going on. Like I grew up sort of around Burnley Wood, and, you know, there was some graffiti heads around there, and you could see, you know, tags on the walls and stuff. And there was some there's some really good breakers who came actually from, well, there was a couple of good breakers at my primary school at St Stephen's, and when Burnley Wood School, their roof fell in, a couple of good breakers came from Burnley Wood School. So there were a couple of lads who would have only been like 9 or 10. It was pretty damn nifty at b-boying, and you know, I was privy to seeing all this. So along with seeing it all on the TV and, you know, Malcolm McLaren and all that kind of stuff, and the first bits of rap music that you'd see, you know, I could see it in the flesh, you know, stuff like that. So just became absolutely kind of mesmerised by it, really. I've got an older brother. His mate could, you know, throw down a windmill and a top rock and do nice floats and whatnot and all that lot. So I used to try and get him to teach me, but he never did. But on the upside, he had a massive, like, one of those suitcases that you got from Woolies or whatever that could hold about 50 cassettes in. He had one of them with, like, all the hip hop tapes, you know. So as sort of Run DMC albums were coming out, as Eric B and Rakim albums were coming out, you know, back in the day, we used to all get them on tape. And the great thing about tape is tape to tape. So you get recordings of all this stuff. So it all started with the hip hop culture and rap music, and so for me, I remember my mum calling me in for Live Aid in '85 to watch Run DMC. So I must have been well into Run DMC by '85. And seeing Jam Master Jay on that and other bits of videos that I got to see of him, this guy scratching up records and being like the leader of the band, if you will, dictating, what the rappers did.
Yeah.
That was just a massive influence to me. And kind of from that point, I had no idea about the equipment or how to get it or what to do. I used to go in Tandy in Burnley and try and size up what was possible. And
I remember that store.
Like whether, try and figure out what my budget was for Christmas off my parents and see if that was doable. Unfortunately, I wish I'd have gone for it, like, and sort of took a leap of faith, like in my very early research and asked my parents to, get take a guess at what gear was needed. But anyway, I didn't get the Tandy gear. I waited a couple of years and I got some very cheap belt drives out of the back of DJ magazine when I was 15. That's when I actually started doing it. About a year prior to that, a mate of mine, Richard Chaffer, we were both banging to music. He was more into sort of rave and early hardcore and stuff like that, and very early jungle when that started. He got a pair of Technics actually about a year before I got my belt drives. So I used to go around his house and have a bit of a go on there, and I was just interested in trying to learn to scratch, to be honest with you, at that point. 14, 15, it gets going. Really.
Yeah, it was similar age to myself. I think I started on a first pair of decks. I had an old pair of Soundlab, and they had 2 pictures on them. I mean, I didn't get into scratching until a lot later, but I think that in a called a GM25 mixer. Everybody.
I remember him.
Yeah. Single channel, no EQs. Toggle switches on them. Built really well, but yeah.
Well, you were advanced compared to me. I think my first setup were like Soundlab copy decks and cam copy mixer. Basically, they looked kind of just the same, but it was like a knockoff. Was it called Terralec or something? Or I can't remember the name. It was a weird, like, no name sort of thing. They got me going anyway.
Yeah, it was same with mine. But there were a lot. All that was second hand. What I got, it were just what I could afford. What I badgered my mum and dad at Christmas to buy me. Yeah. Then they regretted it with how loud my bedroom. Like, why the bloody hell did we buy them that? Oh. So how old were you when you got your first Technics? Because that's always a defining moment for DJs.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day because I actually remember more opening the box to my first Technics turntable than I do. I can't actually remember opening the 2 boxes for my first belt drives.
Yeah.
But I definitely recall the day the first Technics showed up at my door, and it basically took me. I think by that point, I got a part-time job at Mackie D's in Burnley. And so I was working there whilst I was at college. So during that time, I was just saving up for a Technics. So it took me about a year to save up for one Technics. It took me about a year to save up for a decent mixer. And then it took me another year to save up for another Technics. So it was a gradual process. They're expensive things,
Well, I pulled my resources with my brother because he got me into it. And we had Technics for about 4 months, and we did a mate's 18th. Well, one of his mates' 18th, and one of his mates was pissed up and he was drunk, dragged off at decks onto the floor. The turntable were never out. Me and my brother had like painstakingly saved up for months for these. He were working out. We were just at school working for my dad, so bits of pocket money. Oh God, gutted were an understatement. And after that, the deck never played right. It'd get to like the inner rings, and then it'd jump back, and it were.
One of my first Technics is like that because I lent it a mate for some night he was doing in Manchester, and he never the flight cases I still got them, like they had a big piece of foam that you were supposed to put on the top of the platter before you shut them. Anyway, he forgot to put the foam in, didn't he? and so he's rattling around with. So it's never been right since.
Yeah.
But,
we took that decking to get repaired, and no one could ever sort it out. I think we sold them to somebody, and then moved on to the Vestax
yeah.
when they came about. So